The Supreme Court has announced that they will hear the oral arguments challenging President Trump's Birthright Citizenship executive order. That executive order says that if you are an illegal alien uh, or you are here from on a visitor's visa in the United States and have a baby on U.S. soil, that baby is not automatically a U.S. citizen. Now, several courts have ruled against President Trump and the administration on that, and the Supreme Court has agreed to hear it. There are very good arguments why President Trump is correct. And this goes back to what the 14th Amendment says. On its face, it seems simple enough where it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States, but it has this phrase, if they are, quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote. Now, the liberals who are challenging this executive order never mention that phrase. And what does that mean, subject to the jurisdiction thereof? It doesn't mean simply that if you're born in the United States, you can't be prosecuted for, say, breaking laws of a state or the United States. The question is whether they're subject to the full jurisdiction of the United States in the sense that they owe their allegiance to the United States. And in that regard, the argument is made is, look, when you come here illegally, you don't owe your allegiance to the United States. You're still a citizen of the country you came from. Number two, if you're a foreign visitor, you come here, get off the boat, go to the hospital, have a baby, get back on the boat and go back to your country. You can't be able to claim that your baby is a U.S. citizen, which then is used as what they call an anchor baby to then get benefits and so forth as well. And the argument is that, wait a minute, that has, if you look at the what's called the legislative history back in 1866 when this was being debated, Congress had this law to basically reverse the Dred Scott decision, which said that the slaves were not citizens, they were mere property. And after they did that, then the argument was being made, well, it means anybody born here is an automatic citizen. Not true. For example, if ambassadors are here from a foreign country and say the woman, either the wife an ambassador or if the wife herself is an ambassador and is pregnant, has a baby here in the United States, that baby is not a U.S. citizen. That baby and their parents owe their allegiance to the foreign country that they're representing. So there's one exception there to show where this allegiance comes in terms of your jurisdiction that you have to the United States. Another good example, American Indians. Well, hell, they were here before us. Surely their babies are citizens of the United States. No, not really. It took until 1924, long after the 14th Amendment was passed, that said babies born of American Indians are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States. Well, you say, well, wait a minute, why weren't they citizens before that? The answer is because they owe their allegiance to their sovereign tribe and not to the United States. And therefore, that argument is being made by the Justice Department as to why President Trump's executive order is constitutional to clarify who is a citizen of the United States. Now, there is some case law that seems to be on the other side of the Democrat and the liberals saying, wait a minute, there was this 1898 Supreme Court decision that ruled that this person who was of Chinese ancestry is a citizen of the United States. And he was born here, but his parents were born abroad. Well, that exception of that case is you look at it carefully and it doesn't support their theory because in that case, the Chinese parents had lived in the United States. I think they were in the state of Washington for many, many years. They were lawful residents. They had a business. Their son was born here. When he turned 21, he said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to go to China to visit some relatives of ours. He went to China, came back, He was stopped at the border in San Francisco, and they said, wait a minute, you can't come in the United States. You're not a U.S. citizen. Because at that time, we had this law called the Chinese Exclusion Act, which kept out this cheap Chinese labor from coming in and taking the jobs of American citizens. Well, that went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court looked at that carefully and said, well, his parents have been here for many years. They're lawful residents. Yeah, they're not technically citizens because they were born here, but their son was, and therefore we'll rule that he is a U.S. citizen. So that case is going to be stage center in the argument come May 5th as to whether that means that anybody born in the United States from illegal aliens or visitors can be considered citizens. So it's a very close call. It's hard to predict which way the court will rule. I think it will rule 5-4 in Trump's favor, but it could just as easily go the other way. But there are good arguments on the side of President Trump on this.
Do you have a question for KAMENAR? Just drop it in the comments and keep an eye out for Paul's answer right here.
To learn more about the NLPC's mission to investigate and expose government and corporate corruption, please visit nlpc.org.